You're listening to Ecto Portal, a journey into the unknown with Anthony Anderson and Verna Wilson.
I hope that you are seated comfortably, with the light turned down and the curtains drawn.
Hello and welcome back to Ecto Portal. This is Anthony Anderson, your host, and I'm here with
Linda Walker,
tonight's co-host and your presenter for the paranormal news. Unfortunately, Verna is off tonight. She's actually feeling under the weather.
She's got a bad cold.
Yeah, so she's not feeling too great. She really wanted to be here tonight. She even did a little bit of research for us as well tonight, which we'll share later on. But she did want to be here really badly, but she will be back with us again. So, that's okay. It happens to everyone. Everyone gets sick.
Well, it's been going around.
It has been going around. I don't want it.
I don't want it either.
I don't want it. So, we have a special show tonight, like they all are, aren't they? Aren't they?
Yes, they are.
Yeah, they are. We're actually doing a show tonight on Mothman and Harbingers of Death.
Yes, this should be an interesting topic tonight.
It is. I've been reading up on the subject for the last week or so. I knew a little bit, but I kind of delved more into it. I'm actually in the middle of the Mothman Prophecy's book, which really goes into detail. And the author didn't really start out searching for the Mothman. It sort of fell in his lap, which I'll go into in a little bit of detail. The first I ever heard of Mothman literally was when the movie came out.
Really?
I'd never heard of Mothman or anything. I never really paid attention. And I saw the movie and I thought, this is a really bad movie. Mm-hmm. I go, they're all running from something, saying they saw something, talking about something. But if you've ever seen the movie, you don't really see the Mothman.
No, you don't.
And who has a movie about a legendary monster and not even show it? When you have Richard Gere, is that where all the budget went? You couldn't make one out of spandex?
Oh, no, now I remember the movie. Yes, I remember.
Yeah.
He played the couple.
Reporter. He was a reporter, I think.
Yeah, there was about the couple that he wanted to interview, right?
Yeah.
That saw the Mothman.
And he's based on the real guy who wrote the book, The Mothman Prophecies, which I'm reading right now, figuring it's a perfect thing to read. It was written in 1975, but the events of the book happened in 1966 and 67 in West Virginia. And this author, John A. Keel, I believe, he used to write for Fate magazine. So he was covering UFOs, Men in Black. Mm-hmm. He was doing all sorts of stories, and he was being hired by Playboy magazine at the time to do an article about UFOs. Right. So he was sent to cover UFO sightings in West Virginia at the time in 1966.
Right.
But little did they know that after the UFOs came the Mothman sightings. And actually they say ever since the two have been simultaneous. That whenever there's UFO sightings, a lot of times Mothman is close behind. So that's an interesting parallel. And then he talks about Men in Black. They showed up right after people saw the Mothman and the UFOs.
Right.
And it's funny, interesting, because he describes them. He doesn't go into a lot of detail about each case, each person he interviews about it, but he tries to find similarities between each case. Mm-hmm. Like, they're always dressed in black. They drive a black Cadillac or a dark car, but their clothes are sort of off. They're out of style from another time.
They look like old
Old
1930s, 40s G-men.
And he just says they said their speech patterns are strange. They sort of talk very mechanical like.
And they're very pale skinned.
Yeah.
And they wear sunglasses.
Mm-hmm.
Probably Ray-Bans.
Ray-Bans. I don't know. But they would ask weird questions like, they would claim to be someone from the government, or in this case, they were claiming to be him, this author.
Wow. And
they would show up at these people's houses and say, I'm author, my name is John Keel, blah, blah, blah. I'm writing an article about this. Can you tell me more? And they would interview them. Mm-hmm. Or another mysterious woman would show up and say, I'm his secretary, and ask all these personal questions about them. And then they would disappear. And he found out like 2 years afterwards that this woman had shown up saying he was his secretary nonstop interviewing people. He's like, I don't have a secretary. But he says these kind of weird people show up whenever there's UFO sightings in the area. Mm-hmm. And they interview the people, and the people are like, these people are weird. And I guess that was the weird tics people would see about these people.
Right.
They weren't normal. They were a little off. They were obviously awkward. Didn't really know how to have social niceties and interactions.
Right.
So he just mentions those, and he mentions the UFO site.
That would be a good topic for our next time show about the Men in Black.
Well, not the next show, but in the future.
Well, in the future.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I meant the future show.
Absolutely.
I think that'll be a really good subject.
Yep, I think so too. So they tie in with Mothman. So he was investigating these UFOs, and he started to hear about these Mothman sightings while he was in West Virginia. And he thought, well, this is interesting. So he thought let me follow that up as well. So on November 12th, 1966, 5 men were digging a grave at a cemetery near Clendon, West Virginia. They claimed to see a figure flying low from the trees up over their heads. Mm-hmm. And literally, like 3 days later, the two couples from Point Pleasant were kind of sitting on the edge of town. It's like Lover's Lane.
Right.
It's known as the TNT area. It was a former World War II munitions plant.
It's a TNT plant.
Yeah, former munitions plant for World War II. Mm-hmm. It's kind of a deserted bunker area. Mm-hmm. And it's where you went and parked. That was Lover's Lane. You went and talked, right?
Right.
Anyway, they said they saw this creature in front of the car. It literally landed on the hood of their car, and it went into this munitions plant, and it got caught in some barbed wire, and it couldn't get loose. And they had the headlights on it, and they were staring at it. They said it had these large red eyes. It was kind of grayish color, and it was struggling to get out, and it was making these weird squeaking sounds, but it wasn't very loud. Mm-hmm. But they said it was like 7 feet tall, and that when it finally freed itself, the wingspan was like 10 feet across.
Right.
And it just took off. And they were just all kind of like in shock, literally. Oh, we do have a caller. Look at that. Hold on a sec, folks. And I think it's Verna.
It is.
Verna?
Yeah, hi.
Oh, Verna,
Hey,
you there?
folks.
Hello.
Hey, Verna.
Hey, I can't hear you guys. The live show doesn't come on.
The what?
The live show does not come on the player when I put it on.
Okay.
Okay.
And I just wanted to call and see how the show's going and see how the conversation's going. You guys are talking about Mothman, Harbingers of Death, Symbols of Death, and I just want to join in a little bit.
Okay, I was just starting. We're just now starting the Mothman, just the actual story itself.
Okay.
The two sets of couples that saw the Mothman in 1966 at the World War II munitions plant when it was caught in the wire fence, and then I literally like a week later was seen by another woman, and then a day later. 2 volunteer firemen saw one with a large bird with red eyes, and the Mason County Sheriff said he believed the sightings were due to an unusually large heron he termed a shipoke. I think it's a shipoke. So he thinks it's a large bird, and a lot of them, the theories were that it was a large crane bird, because cranes have the really large necks.
They do.
Well,
So
what about that couple that saw him in Point Pleasant? I think that's the name of the place, Point Pleasant.
Yeah, that's the one I just talked about. The two
Oh,
two
right.
sets
Oh,
of
okay.
couples.
That was the same one. Okay.
Yeah, it was 4 people all together. They were kind of parked in Lover's Lane at night, and that's the one they saw.
They heard kind of a buzzing sound. Is that correct?
A little buzzing sound, and they say they were kind of transfixed on the eyes of the creature a little bit.
Because it was like
Right.
red glowing eyes.
Yeah, and they said people have, like, whoever see these eyes, they have kind of a loss of time, a sense of time.
Almost hypnotizing.
Yeah, it's almost hypnotizing. So they said it doesn't make a lot of noise, occasional squeak, but not too much. So that was another one. Yeah, another biologist in West Virginia, Robert Smith from West Virginia University, said all the sightings fit the profile of a Sandhill Crane, a large American crane that's almost as high as a man with a 7-foot wingspan and has reddish coloring around the eyes, and that maybe the bird wandered out of its migration route. But it may not have been recognized at first because it's kind of not native to West Virginia. So you see, that was one theory, that maybe that's what that was, you know. So, I mean, and then, of course, the Mothman, the same Mothman in the same area, literally January 11th. So this is like 2 months later, was seen flying around that bridge in Point Pleasant, the Silver Bridge across the river.
Oh, yes. That's very, that's in 1967?
Yep.
Yep.
And on and off throughout the year, more reports and sightings were around the bridge. And then eventually, of course, the bridge collapsed and killed 46 people. And that's where the Harbinger of Death comes in. Is the Mothman the Harbinger of Death, warning people by showing up that the bridge is going to collapse? Now, I don't know. What do you think your theory is, Verna? Do you think that could be possible, or do you think that's just stretching?
Well, it could be possible because, I mean, there are different harbingers of death in different cultures.
Uh-huh.
Some people interpret as the angel of death, like Azrael, which is a little bit different, as a warning. I mean, there are certain figures that come into different cultures that are warning signs of death.
Uh-huh.
And this just could be another one that people are unfamiliar with.
That's true. I know there's other theories is that it's the opposite, that the Mothman has been making appearances before this as a warning, saying there's a disaster that's going to happen. You know, so I don't know. I don't think we really have proof one way or the other than there's a picture, I think, they said of the Mothman sitting on top of the bridge itself.
Right.
I
heard of that.
It's kind of a famous picture.
Yeah. Oh, the only picture that they think they have a picture of the Mothman.
Well, you know, I was reading a forum once where people were talking about death warnings and the different forms it comes in, and they were talking about it coming in this, the sight of an angel, but looking more like a human being coming to visit people in a hospital.
Uh-huh.
And then they talked about different figures, like dark, shadowy figures, kind of similar to Mothman.
Right.
In this one form. It was a form I read about 5 years ago.
Now, would this be on their deathbed or before they died?
This would be before they died.
Okay.
So, most of it was before they died. But then the ones that were on their deathbed or were in hospitals, this person, the Harbinger of Death, came in the form of a human being coming to visit.
Oh, okay.
So that was a little bit different than the Mothman type.
I wonder, you got to wonder
figure,
if maybe
or the shadow figures.
You got to wonder if maybe different cultures, it appears differently to different cultures for different reasons. Do you know what I
or
mean?
to different places and different environments for different reasons.
Exactly, and maybe the cultures interpret it differently just because of their culture and where they're at.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it.
Okay, there was there's some recent Mothman sightings. One was in Afghanistan and other regions in the Middle East. A mysterious cryptid, a harbinger of doom, an omen that warns against catastrophe. It was, let's see, and there's 3 in Singapore just last year. A winged humanoid was in an abandoned house. A geography teacher at a Singapore school said he was walking his dog in the Woodnuke area when he spotted the alleged creature early in the morning. I was walking in the woods with my dog near an abandoned house about 5:50 a.m. I peered inside the window of the house and saw what appeared to be a winged humanoid hanging from a door frame. My dog saw the creature, remained completely still and silent while staring in its direction. Waffle claims the humanoid was still with just its chest moving up and down as if it was breathing.
Huh. Now, something didn't happen after these accounts, did it? Or
no, most
not?
of these are just sightings, but
Right.
we don't know. There could be. They just never made the correlation.
Right.
Another one is a 19-year-old who claimed he saw a winged humanoid in broad daylight in eastern Singapore. A college student, Mildred Wan, said he was scouting the location for a student film at an abandoned hospital. I was walking out of the hospital doors, having explored the surroundings. While I was inside, I heard a noise which was similar to a large monkey rustling around the treetops. He says that what happened next was one of the most terrifying experiences of his life. He left the building. He saw the creature. It appeared to be halfway up one of the trees with huge wings stretched out from its body and appeared to be mostly human. And another woman claimed she saw the creature look like a tall man with wings in an abandoned house in Singapore. She was an avid bird watcher named Alice. She went inside the building. It was 2:30 p.m. with my husband. I went forest looking for birds. This is my husband and I lived in Singapore. I have a beautiful birds. We like this place because unlike our house, it's quiet and tranquil. They came into the empty building, heard a low fluttering noise. I was confused, so I decided to investigate. This is when I came across the thing. The woman said being looked like a tall man with an enormous wingspan. I'd say around 9 to 10 feet. My husband said it was longer. She said it was a very thin body. The creature appeared to be barely moving and could have been a male or a female. They said they'd never seen anything like it before, and that 3-minute long sighting was a big, scary, but exciting. So,
big, scary, but exciting, huh?
That was their quote. Big, scary, but exciting.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Also, I was just looking about the Pleasant, the Point Pleasant, where the Mothman was seen. They also happened to say that it's possibly could be cursed.
Oh yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
They said 2 centuries before the shadow of the Mothman reared its head in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, the land around the Ohio River ran red with blood as the inhabitants of the American colonies began to push their way into the West and later fought into their way to independence from Britain. They entered to a deadly combat with the Native American inhabitants from the land. Perhaps one of the greatest foe in early American Indian wars was Chief Cornstalk, who later became friends with Americans. But treachery, deception, and murder would bring the end to the chief's life, and the curse that he placed on Point Pleasant would linger for 200 years, bringing tragic and death and disaster.
Oh, and the Mothman, apparently.
So there is no denying that the southeast corner of Ohio, surrounding the area of West Virginia, is considered many to be one of the most haunted areas in the county. West Virginia has long been as one of the most strangest part of the country, regarding to ghosts, legends, and strange happenings. This is part of the country that is originally part of Virginia and regarded by Native Americans as a haunted spot, plagued by ghosts, lights, phantoms, and strange creatures. And the town of Parkersville, just north of the river of Point Pleasant,
surrounding
there's
area.
a share of ghosts nearby Athens County, Ohio, home to the most haunted city in the entire state. Interesting.
So when Verna left us with her last final thought there, just before we went to the music break, about it could be something about the environment too. Maybe who knows? Maybe there's a Mothman nest somewhere in West Virginia. Maybe the Native Americans knew there was a nest and said, "Hey, Mothman, will you mind attacking and killing the white man for us? He took our land."
He goes, why, sure.
Exactly. And much obliged, Native
Much
Americans.
obliged, no problem.
So we've had, maybe it's cursed. So maybe.
Well, I mean, they said many tragedies and disasters is blamed on the curse because I got dates.
Okay.
Okay, you want to hear it?
But say it into the microphone.
Well, yeah.
Because they can't hear you.
Oh, of course they can hear me. Can you hear me?
See,
Yeah, okay, now you can hear
me.
me. Okay, in 1907, the worst coal mining disaster in American history took place in Monoga, West Virginia.
West Virginia.
On December 6th, where 310 miners were killed.
Wow.
In 1944, in June of this year, that's what they said, 150 people were killed in a tornado ripped through the tri-state triangular area. 1967, a devastating Silver Bridge disaster. Of course, we were talking about
That's
the
one from
Mothman.
earlier, yeah.
Sent 46 people hurling to their death in the Ohio River. On December 15th, many has connected with this tragedy, an eerie sighting of the Mothman, strange lights in the sky, and odd paranormal happenings. In 1968, a Piedmont Airlines airplane crashed in August near the Kanawha Airport, killing 35 people on board. 1970, on November 14th, a South Airway DC-10 crashed into the mountain near Huntington, West Virginia, killing 75 people on board.
Wow.
1976, in March of that year, the town of Point Pleasant was rocked in the middle of the night. An explosion of the Manson County Jail. House in the jail was a woman named Harriet Sick, who was arrested for murder of her 2 infant daughters. On March 2nd.
In the jail? She was in the jail?
Yeah, she was in the jail,
Oh, okay.
yeah. She was arrested. On March 2nd, her husband came in the jail, suitcase full of explosives, and killed himself and his wife to destroy the building. Both the 6 were killed along with 3 law enforcement officers.
Wow.
1978, in January, a freight train derailed in Point Pleasanton, dumping thousands of gallons of toxic chemicals. The chemicals contaminated the town's water, and supply and wells had to be abandoned. In 1978, in April of the same year, the town of St. Mary, north of Point Pleasant, was struck with a tragedy when 51 men who were working in Willow Island Power Plant was killed in their construction scaffold collapse.
Wow.
So there's been many other strange occurrences, fires, floods, part of living over there. There's just been one disaster after another, all because of this curse of cheap
Mothman.
cornstalk.
Oh, sheep cornstalk. So what we've learned here is let's not move to West Virginia.
Exactly.
I think that's what this is saying because,
Especially in that area.
I know they have a festival every year in West Virginia, Point Pleasant, with the Mothman.
Oh, really?
It's a Mothman festival. They have this giant statue in the center of town made out of metal, but they actually have a festival every year about Mothman. So
Maybe
I guess,
to appease the Mothman for not killing anybody.
I wonder if they have a sacrifice every year,
I don't know, and I don't want to go and see.
the worst teen in town gets to meet the Mothman every year. Take him out to the TNT
The old
munitions
TNT plant.
and say, hey, buddy, you've been in jail 25 times this year? You've been selected by our board of Point Pleasant. You are our sacrifice to the Mothman. Well, you never know.
Well, it could happen.
Could happen. But it sounds like it does sound like a curse, though, after all that.
Yeah, all these events has happened.
Maybe
yeah.
it is the Native Americans. Maybe they're just a big old middle finger from the Native Americans to the white
Well,
man.
when they killed him, he was strangled and they shot him 8 times. And then when he was lying on the floor dying,
It's like, bitches,
he was like,
Mothman.
"That's it. You have done enough."
I'm bringing Mothman.
That's right.
And then he cursed him, and look what's happened since.
Yeah. See?
And they are, like I said, they do surround UFO sightings, strange lights, the Men in Black. So all this stuff looks
it's just a wonderland of
It is.
paranormal activity.
And there's another theory which I found amusing. I saw one picture. There's maybe 2, but I don't know if I buy it. of Mothman taken at 9/11 during the disaster.
I heard about that. I think I seen a picture of
Yeah,
that.
there's a picture of something. It looks
Something
like it's flying.
Yeah.
Whether that's a Photoshop job, whether that actually happened, I don't know. I was a little further uptown when that happened, 9/11, so I wasn't downtown.
Maybe Mothman is a superhero.
But he always arrives too late, apparently, because then all the disasters
Well, he's
happen.
the superhero that gone wrong.
He's a bad superhero. Mothman's just a really
Here I
bad.
am to say that. Oh,
Oh,
damn!
not again!
Not again!
First that bridge, and now look at this.
and that. Okay.
Yeah, so maybe he needs to change his contacts. Those red contacts aren't doing it for him.
I guess so.
Or
yeah.
maybe his spandex moth suit's a little tight.
Maybe.
Or maybe his wings need checking. I don't know.
I don't know.
But I thought that was interesting. It's a pretty wide theory, the 9/11 one. But
And there's a lot of strange theories about 9/11.
right.
Okay.
So also, besides Mothman, there are other harbingers of death. Some of them go back in folklore. Some of them go back in urban legend, superstition, just from different countries. And I actually have a list of some of those. I'm going to read them to you because some of them will make you laugh. Okay. So let's start with the Banshee, which is probably a very popular one. The Banshee is a female attendant fairy. That's what she's called, a female attendant fairy to old families of Ireland.
Right.
And she would howl in the night, and it means that one of the family members is going to die soon.
Right.
Now the theory is, if she howls and screeches at you like gee, you stop shrieking like a banshee. We all have heard that term. That's where it comes from. That means if she shrieks and howls, it means someone's going to die. But if she sings a soothing singing sound, choral sound, it means it's good fortune.
Oh,
So it does go both ways. I didn't realize the Banshee could also tell you, hey, you're going to win the Irish lottery. So
Well, the people that she, mostly the Banshee, agrees of one of Ireland's 5 major families is the O'Grady's, the O'Neills, the O'Briens, the O'Connors, and the Clavenots?
Kavanaugh?
Clavenow? So, yeah.
Wow,
And
that's
they
a lot of
said
O's.
thanks to intermarriages over centuries, it's thought the most Irish family has their own Banshee. That's what they said.
Well, and they
she's
always
also
say it's a
and
relative,
she's also
too.
a big part of Scottish folk.
And they say
folklore.
that the Banshee is actually a former relative, usually.
Yeah,
a
that's
female
what they're
member of
saying.
the family.
Yeah, it's because of all the interbreeding.
The next one I have is owls are harbingers of doom and can be a sign that you're about to be abducted by aliens. I thought that was an interesting one.
Huh, I seen an owl when I'm up in Audubon. We saw one night we were having our bonfire and we were all sitting around and everything, and we saw a little mouse, and there's big beautiful owl came out and he swooped and grabbed it and flew away right in front of us.
Wow. You don't have any missing time after that? You weren't abducted by aliens?
No aliens, no nothing. No.
And they said a bird tapping at your window is a death omen. And if a swallow ever flies down your chimney, it may be a death omen.
Oh, that's scary.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
So keep your chimney shut.
Right.
Another one is a black dog.
Oh, the black shuck.
Yep, the shook. Huge black dog with eyes that glow yellow or red signals a sign of death within a year. And if the dog appears, it'll simply disappear. It doesn't attack you. They're also associated with storms or UFO sightings. That's when they're seen the most often.
Yeah, and this one, this dog is pretty much, you can see him in Norfolk, Suffolk, Essex. God, I can't talk today. Cambridgeshire, it's mostly in England, that part of England that you can see it. This comes way back since 1577. So, yeah.
Weird.
It's Squirmers. Also, they said the black shuck left scored marks on churches' doors, referring as the locals as the devil fingerprints.
You know what this made me think of when I
Which you
read
can still
that
be
about
seen
the
today.
shooks and the black dogs?
Yeah.
I think of the movie The Omen.
Oh, yeah.
Think about it. You have those black dogs that
Those are Rottweilers.
Damien's nanny or head, I don't know what you want to call her. She was his keeper.
Right.
Protector.
That was his nanny.
And she kept sicking the dogs after people. And it reminded me of this a little bit because whoever they attacked, they were dead.
Well, they said that the Rottweilers were widely used in the Romans. Always had that was their dog to watch over the army and stuff like that.
But
Just like the German Shepherds with the Germans,
But it sounds like they got, whoever made the movie did their homework.
Oh, yeah.
And got, read of some of these shucks black dogs.
Right.
And said, hey, that would fit perfectly with our movie because, they got ripped apart.
Such a
by
good
dogs.
movie.
It's a very good movie. Isn't that what Damien's mother was? A jackal. It's a jackal.
Yeah, he
Damien's
was
mother
born from a jackal.
That's a good movie. Another one is a Saguapa, a supernatural female living deep in the mountains of the Dominican Republic. She has dark brown and blue skin and is nude with long black hair. She seduces young men to their death by drowning them.
Wow.
So when you're in the Dominican Republic, be on the lookout for a woman with brown and blue skin, not wearing any clothes, and tries to lure you into the swimming pool. You might drown. I'm just saying. Just be a little cautious.
Be a little careful. This chick has bad intentions for you.
A Saguapa. I'm assuming that's how you pronounce that. Saguapa.
Saguapa.
Saguapa. So she's not good. She's not good. Another one is a Doppelganger, and that is a duplicate of yourself, only darker and kind of sickly and pale looking. It could mean your demise. If your family member sees your doppelganger, it means you'll get a severe illness.
Huh.
And they said Abraham Lincoln actually claimed to see his own doppelganger in a bureau mirror shortly before his election in 1860. And he noted that the second reflection was notably paler than his own. Wow. And think about it. That was like 5 years later, he was killed in the Ford Theater. So,
yeah.
Maybe that look in the mirror was like,
I don't know. I mean, he was very much into spirituality and spirits.
When they say his ghost was in the White House, too.
Oh, yeah. No, in the Lincoln Room.
Yeah. So, that's interesting, I think.
I would love to stay in that room.
I know. I'd love to investigate the White House like anyone's ever going to get a chance.
I know.
Another one is a grave sow. And that's a small piglet that's only seen at night. And every night thereafter, the piglet will appear, which means a child was buried in secret around the grounds, and that will continue to appear until that child is found.
Wow.
The child's body.
Wow.
I'd never heard that.
I never heard of that either.
Grave sow.
Grave sow.
Yep. And
where's that originated?
I believe that one was England.
Oh, England?
Yep.
Oh, that's why.
Another one is a Kelpie.
What's a Kelpie?
Kelpie appears as either a human, man, or a horse, and is found in Scotland along rivers or other flowing waters. And it's said to be mischievous and even eat humans as food. And if you hear the creature bellow or neigh during a storm, it means death is near. So, if I see a horse bellowing in a storm, I'm probably not going to be outside looking at a horse bellowing in the storm. I'm going to be inside because whatever.
Yeah, I'll be with a glass dirty martini looking outside.
Exactly.
It's like, oh, heck no.
Exactly.
You stay over there.
All right, so I have a few more Harbingers of Death because I find them amusing. Mermaids. They're found in oceans and they murder humans. They also entice men into marriage, and if they have a child with them, they can obtain a soul since they're soulless creatures. I did not know that. I don't remember hearing that in The Little Mermaid.
I never heard any.
She did not have a child with Eric, and no longer. I didn't realize they didn't have souls, but whatever.
I'm trying to figure out how do they had sex.
Well, I don't think that's any of your business. I believe that's the mermaid's business.
I mean,
It's a very fishy situation.
Yeah, totally.
The next one is from Germany. It's called Witchlein. A German small mine fairy that haunts mines and announces grave misfortune by knocking 3 times. Now, lesser tragedies are announced by making digging and pounding noises. So, I've never heard of a Witchlein.
I never heard of a Witchlein.
A German small mind fairy. Okay, I'll be on the lookout for those.
Oh, me too.
Woman in white. If you see her, it means foreboding death is coming.
Where's that originated from?
That one's all over the world. If you think about it, there's always women in white stories by graveyards, and
Oh, that's true.
you gotta
And
wonder.
ghosts.
The women in white is almost the most standard story you hear all around the world in
Oh
different
yeah,
cultures.
I mean, and you go, she see, what's she dressed? All in white,
all in white. Exactly. It's always white. Sometimes it's the woman in blue.
or the woman in gray.
Yeah, or the woman in gray. So, but they're, of course, 3 knocks of death. If you ever hear 3 unexplained knocks on your door or window, it may be a sign that someone you know is about to meet their end.
Ooh.
And here's your favorite photograph. Some people believe that if 3 people are photographed together, the person in the middle will be the first to die. So never stand in the middle. If someone asks you to take a picture with a group, stand on the end.
That's what I'm planning to do for on now.
There you go. Birth dreams. An old wives' tale that tells you if you dream of birth, it actually is a sign that death is around the corner. So does that mean if you dream of death that birth is around the corner?
Wait a second, you dream that you're pregnant and you're going to get birth?
You dream of birth. I don't know, it could be a baby is born in your dream. You're being born in your dream. Someone else is being born in your dream. Someone's birthing you in your dream. I don't know. It just means death is around the corner.
Well, that's funny because when I was pregnant, I did dream of, birth, but...
How do you know? Someone around you may have died. You just didn't realize it.
You know what?
What?
That's weird you said that. Because after I gave birth to my son, Alex, when we brought him home the very next day, we were all kicking back. We had my husband lit a candle, and there was no wind. The windows weren't open. We were just kind of kicking back, watching Alex sleeping, and the candle flickered, right? And then we get the phone call. My uncle died.
Well, see? There you go. That one was true. Black cats. Germans believed if you were sick and a black cat sat on your bed, it was a sure sign your number was up. And already at a funeral, hope and pray that no black cat crosses the funereal procession path. Say that 5 times fast. If it does, another member of the family is fated to die within 3 days.
Well, it's funny. They talk about certain animals that come to like nursing homes. There was like a cat that was hanging around the nursing home, and it would come to a certain person's room and would sit on their bed.
Yeah.
And they died.
Oh, great. It's like, okay, kitty, tell us which rooms we're going to clean next. The next time your black cat meows late at night, be sure to check the clock. If it's midnight, your time on Earth is coming to an end.
Hey, Chihuahua.
Yeah. I know. I feel bad for black cats because people do stupid things to black cats.
I know.
And I'm sorry. I'm not that superstitious, and I hate when you mistreat a cat because of the color of its fur. I mean, really? People, are you that stupid?
Don't discriminate against cats' color.
I'm sure Verna would agree
Black
with me.
cats' lives matter.
They all matter.
Yeah, they do.
So, let's not be cat racist. Crows. If you should find yourself in the presence of crows, it's important to get a head count as quickly as possible. 1 crow means bad luck. 2 crows means good luck. 3 crows brings health. 4 signify wealth. If you see 5 crows, sickness will visit your home. But 6 crows means someone you know is bound to die.
Oh my God.
So count quick. Just remember that 5 is 6. 5 is 6. 6
5 and
is
6
death.
is not good.
Yeah. Mirrors. If a mirror hanging on the wall falls and breaks of its own accord, well, you won't need to check your reflection before work much longer anyway. Because you're going to die soon.
Oh, God.
So it's funny because it says, I guess if you break it, you have 7 years bad luck.
Right.
But I guess if it falls and breaks in front of you, you're going to die.
You're going to die.
Yeah. Portraits. If a portrait falls off the wall, the subject is fated to die. So when your miserly rich Uncle Albert's portrait takes a swan dive, it might be time to double check his will. See what he left you. Clocks. If a clock fails to chime on the hour, that it isn't working suddenly chimes. Wait, if a clock fails to chime the hour, or if a clock isn't working suddenly chimes,
right,
someone in the home won't see the next sunrise.
Boy.
Wouldn't you replace the clock?
Yeah.
Buy batteries for it? I don't know.
No, well, yeah. Well, maybe it's the batteries, but
Wind
they're
it up?
probably talking about the old-fashioned clocks.
Where you wind them?
Yeah.
With grandfather clocks?
Oh, yeah.
Dinner party settings. I've never heard this. If 13 people sit down to dine at your table, well, eat slow. And if you suddenly need to use the restroom, hold it. The first to stand from the table will die within a fortnight. 13 people at your table, so don't be the first to get up.
Don't invite 13 people.
Yeah, that would probably
13,
solve the problem
13 is supposed
too.
to be a bad luck number.
Yeah, just don't invite. Why would you? Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
there you
imagine
go.
if you knew that, you wouldn't invite 13 people, right?
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
A woman's cry in the night. Again, banshees. Nothing strikes in the fear of the heart of an Irishman as quick as shriek of a woman outside their door. They know there is no woman there, and they know that someone in their family is bound to die.
Wow.
So that the Irish just know that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all the Harbingers of Death that I could find. I thought some of them were interesting. They had a few others that I didn't really put down because they were pretty in depth and I didn't understand them entirely. One was in a churchyard, they would literally bury like a lamb. And then they signified something like the death of a child or it was like one was like protection and one was to ward off evil, and they must have been burying stuff in churchyards a lot because I don't know.
Well, there's so many folklores and legends and everything from all different countries. Since I am half Mexican and I sometimes hear some folklores and stuff. My favorite one is the crying lady, La Llorona. And supposedly the legend went that La Llorona, she was this really nice-looking widow woman that had 2 children, and she met a lover, and he fell in love with her and everything. The only reason why he said he won't marry her because she had kids, right? So she decided that she was going to kill her children. So she took her both kids and threw them in the river and drowned them. And when she found out that the guy was going to marry her anyhow, she realized what she did. She killed her children, and she wound up committing suicide or something like that. So she was condemned for the rest of her spiritual life to go and find her children. So she will be calling them. She was calling for her children down the river. Now, when I was in Mexico, most of the kids went in the house, like by the time the sun, set and everything. They said, well, you better come inside the house or La Llorona is going to get you. And so my sister and I, we heard about this legend. We were watching all these kids running out of the streets, and it was so quiet. I was like, my sister and I were like, what was wrong? They go, Linda, Verna, come on, now. He said, La Llorona, La Llorona. And I'm like, okay, But, yeah, I mean, that's, that happened. I don't know if they do it now. I'm sure the kids, just
I'm sure
thumb their
they might
noses,
still
like,
use
whatever.
it so they get home after dark. That could be why it was there.
Yeah.
And the ghost of Stowe Lake in Golden Gate Park, where the woman drowned her baby because the man wouldn't marry her, so she drowned. She went in a rowboat, drowned the baby in the lake.
Oh, and different kind of La Llorona.
They said she's seen wandering around the lake, in the lake, looking for the baby.
Wow.
They hear the baby cry, and they hear her calling for it.
Wow.
That's the woman of Stowe Lake.
Oh, we got to go and hang out there and see if we hear that.
It's kind of a dicey area at night, but
it
can be done.
Golden Gate Park is a dicey anyhow.
It is. It's its own universe. It's like if the Tenderloin was a country, it's the Golden Gate Park.
Right.
So
it's all these different urban legends and stuff about surrounding death. It's just like really interesting.
And another one is, which I didn't write down, was, in fact, this one happened to my mom when she was taking care of an elderly woman, where a bird flew into the window and died. Literally hit the window and dropped dead.
Well, that's pretty much what
and
you
3
mentioned.
days later, the woman died.
Oh my gosh!
So
that could
there's some
be
truth
something.
to some of
Yeah,
these.
I guess so.
I mean, you hear
or
about
it could be
them
a
happening.
It could be a coincidence.
It could be, but it's a little weird. That it's happened to other people before, where a bird flies into the window, hits the window, knocks at the window, and the person dies a few days later.
Well, that sucks.
So it does suck. I don't want a bird hitting my window.
No, neither do I.
It better be at someone else's
I will
house.
miss Verna very much.
Oh, she didn't mean that.
No, it's
Say
just
you're
that I don't want it to
sorry.
happen to me.
Say
No, I
you're
never
sorry.
want it to happen to her either. I
That's
love
good.
yous.
You just got to be visiting someone else.
Oh, yeah, well, exactly.
Yeah,
Somebody
exactly.
you don't like.
Exactly. Drop by.
Drop by. Hey,
how's
oh,
it
bird
going?
hit. Gotta go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm out of here. What, you see place settings for 13 people? I'm really out of here. So yeah, the Harbingers of Death. I never really thought about them much because I'm not a big superstitious person.
Yeah.
But the Mothman, believe it or not, you know where the name came from?
What?
The original reporter who reported that very first one of the 5 men in the graveyard
John
digging a
Keats.
grave. Nope,
No?
not even him. It was a reporter before him in the local Point Pleasant newspaper.
Oh.
He couldn't think of what to call it because they said it was like a moth, like a bat with wings. They couldn't call it Batman. It was 1966. Batman was huge. He goes, I can't use Batman because they won't get the right idea. So he's like, well, it has big eyes. I guess it's like a moth.
Right.
So that's why he named it the Mothman. That's why it stuck. It's because he used that term because he didn't want to call it Batman.
Oh. Oh, well, that's a smart thing. And didn't people say it kind of looked like a moth, or no, they didn't. No, they would say it was more like a
Just
winged.
a man, grayish, dark gray,
Grayish.
with, he has arms and legs.
Right.
But he has wings,
Right.
and he had teeth, I guess, and the giant bulbous eyes that practically popped out of the head that were red and
Right.
glowing and mesmerizing. That's why people thought they were birds or an owl, because of the eyes. When a headlight or flashlight hits the animal's eyes, they glow in the dark.
Right.
So that was why a lot of people thought, oh, it's just an animal or some kind. So.
Wow.
Well, we got to wrap up here for this week. And we'll see you in the Ecto portal.
Sleep soundly. Good night.
Royalty-free, copyright-free music by Kevin MacLeod and Ross Bugden.